Saturday, the 13th of July, 2024, Butler, Pennsylvania. Former President Donald Trump is giving a rally speech. 8 minutes in, as he turns his head, shots are fired. A bullet scratches Trump's right ear. The Secret Service agents rush to protect him while snipers shoot back. The Secret Service is an elite force tasked with protecting the president and presidential candidates with billions of dollars in funding every year. Yet, this incident left everyone in shock. How did a 20-year-old amateur with a rifle get within 500 feet of Trump and take a clear shot? How did they fail so horribly? To understand this, let's take a look at what the Secret Service does and how they keep the presidential candidates safe on the road. First off, it's important to know that not all candidates get the same treatment. But this isn't about playing favorites. Joe Biden started as the Democratic candidate, but has now dropped out of the race, and we don't know who the Democratic Party's candidate is as of the making of this video. Maybe it will be Kamala Harris, the current vice president, but no matter who it is, the travel protocol stays the same whenever the president or vice president travels. Now, this kind of traveling doesn't happen out of the blue. It involves a lot of careful planning. The presidential protocol, along with Secret Service members and law enforcement, is heavily involved in the planning phase. Even though these plans are highly secretive, we can assume they include route analysis, preparation of personnel, arranging necessary vehicles, conducting risk assessments, and securing the end location. But what exactly does all this planning entail? How do they make sure every detail is covered? For example, when Biden had to attend the presidential debate against Trump in Atlanta, he had to fly all the way from the White House to Andrews Air Force Base using the Marine One helicopter. Usually, this is a Sikorsky VH-3D Sea King or a VH-60N Whitehawk. These helicopters are specifically designed with the latest defensive technology, such as flares and AN/ALQ-157 infrared guided missile countermeasure device against heat-seeking missiles and chaff against radar-guided missiles. With its advanced communication systems on board, the president can remain in contact all the time. What makes this helicopter like a flying tank is the armor plating, which increases its versatility even more. On top of this, the helicopter never flies alone. Additional helicopters acting as decoy join in to create a deceiving formation, making it impossible to understand which one has the president on board. Once at the airport, the president is then escorted to the airplane Air Force One, with the American flag on its tail and the imprint United States of America. It symbolizes the power of the commander-in-chief. The airplane is a Boeing VC-25A, a militarized version of the 747 prototype. With in-air refueling, it can fly in the air for as long as necessary, and in emergency cases, it can even serve as a command post. Similar to Marine One, it is also equipped with advanced communications technology to ensure they work all the time. The electronics are shielded against an electromagnetic pulse. When necessary, Air Force One is escorted by fighter jets like the F-22 Raptors or F-16s, making it impossible for any aircraft to even get close. Not to forget the magnificent C-17 Globemaster or the C-5 Galaxy aircraft, which are used to transport the presidential motorcade. Because there was not enough space to land the helicopters at the CNN studios, the president continued his journey in his famous motorcade. You probably have seen it all around the news several times, and if you were lucky enough, you have experienced it live. Hopefully, you didn't have to stop in traffic because the roads were blocked. Both methods of presidential transportation, Marine One and the motorcade, have their advantages and disadvantages when it comes to security. While the first one offers a faster way of traveling and there's no need to block any roads, it becomes an easier target. To make things even worse, if the helicopter experiences system failures, it must land before they can switch the president to another vehicle. The motorcade is definitely slower, as it travels on roads that are blocked for anyone else and filled with law enforcement agents. This really annoys some people, especially those in a hurry. However, The motorcade is more secure because of the presidential limo, and the agents can easily dismount and counterattack threats. Generally, the motorcade looks like this. Before the motorcade even starts, the streets will be blocked by local law enforcement, and the most dangerous spots will be full of Secret Service agents. In addition, the first two vehicles, called route and pilot cars, drive ahead of the motorcade to ensure the route is open. Along the way, they are constantly scanning for anything suspicious. After that, the so-called sweepers come along with police motorcycles and patrol cars serving as an extra defensive layer. Then, we have the lead car, which is operated by Secret Service agents, followed by the Beast, a bunker on wheels. The Beast is a Cadillac limousine heavily armored with steel plating, bulletproof glass, and much more. Usually, you see 2 of these, or even 3, and nobody except a small group of people really knows where the president is. The motorcade is then followed by many SUVs that transport Secret Service agents, military personnel, medical teams, and additional support units. But what stands out is the ECM, Electronic Countermeasures Vehicle. The ECM vehicle is equipped with upward-facing antennas that are part of an advanced jamming system. This technology blocks nearby signals, preventing improvised explosive devices from being triggered. And this isn't all of it. There is one more means of transportation the president can use: the presidential bus, called Ground Force One. It has defensive capabilities similar to those of the Beast, but it is more comfortable. This is generally used when traveling in many places during the elections. On the other hand, how did Trump travel to the same presidential debate in Atlanta? As a former president and major candidate, he benefits from a unique level of protection. Is it the same as the sitting president's security, or does it differ? Since Trump left office in 2021, he's been eligible for Secret Service protection as a former president. Sure, he's a billionaire and can afford the best private security, but they don't have the same resources or legal backing as the Secret Service. The Secret Service has access to advanced technology and operates under federal law, making their protection top-notch. However, there's a big difference between the protection for a sitting president and that for former presidents or major candidates. Just check out Trump's motorcade from 2 months ago when he left court. We can see the difference in the number of cars. His motorcade is generally made of a police patrol car in the front, followed by the Secret Service's vehicles and another police patrol. You won't see specialized vehicles like the Beast, ECM, or even an ambulance. Another thing that stands out is that the president's motorcade is never stopped in a traffic jam or has any civilian cars in the next lane, which can be a potential threat at any time. But how is it possible that one candidate gets the best of the best in protection while another's safety might depend on turning their head at the right moment? The incident on July 13th clearly shows how vulnerable and dangerous it is to be a candidate. And let me tell you, it's not the first time such a thing has happened. It all started with the assassination of Robert Kennedy in 1968, which shocked the world and raised questions about the presidential elections in the U.S. Is the birthplace of democracy being manipulated by people making secretive plans behind the curtains? So, to ensure the integrity of the democratic values during this process, Federal Law 90-331 was introduced in the same year. The law authorizes the Secret Service agency to provide permanent protection to the president and vice president. On the other side, presidential and vice presidential candidates receive temporary protections which they can decline if they wish. However, it's not up to the Secret Service to choose who is protected, and not all candidates are eligible to have special agents protecting them. Imagine the chaos and the amount of tax money that would be spent if all candidates could apply for Secret Service protection. Fortunately, there are specific requirements that need to be fulfilled to be qualified as a major candidate, and then the Department of Homeland Security authorizes protective services. To make things even more strict, a congressional advisory committee is consulted before the authorization is given. For example, the candidate from a major known party has to poll at least 15% or more for 30 days straight, or 20% if they're independent. Usually, these polls are sponsored by organizations like CNN, ABC News, and others to get an idea of the public opinion about the candidates. Other requirements include administrative procedures, like filing the right documents with the Federal Election Commission. Once this is done, the Secret Service agency will be responsible for the candidate's safety. Special agents are tasked to be with them all the time, and hopefully they do a better job than on the 13th of July. With the resignation of the agency's director, Kimberly Cheadle, hopefully someone with more leadership experience will be put in charge and bring the agency back to its former glory. Bye for now.